Hey, Velasquez, que bonito, que bonito. I hope I'm saying that right. How you doing? Thanks for joining the show. Where are you from? Always like to get to know a little bit about my fans, people coming to the show. Hey there, Victorian. How we doing, bud? Good to have you. Just doing a little bit of inking on this fine Sunday evening. Hmm. How was your weekend, guys? Do anything interesting? I had a good night last night. Did my usual Saturday night dancing, and a friend was visiting from out of town, and so a lot of mutual friends there, and just overall great night. Really, really good time. Those Saturday night dance nights really keep me alive. It's just really nice to have some just good old fun. Everybody needs to have a good time. So in the background, what's this? Hey, Stephanie Carroll, are you doing good? Am I doing good? Well, I'm doing better. I'll put it that way. I'm striving towards doing good. I'm always thinking about what could I be doing better. Um, I find that the constant issue in my life is, mm, I guess it's a type of time energy management. Um, I had a curveball in the last 2 days. Someone that I'm close to had some serious legal issues, and I had to help her out and take her to the police station. And it's pretty ugly stuff, but it's okay. Her situation's okay, but it took a lot of time and energy from me, to help out with that, which is fine. That's what friends are for. If people aren't there for you when you're down and you need help, then you don't, they're not your friends. You know what I'm saying? And, but, something of that nature is obviously pretty heavy stuff. And then, she just needed a lot of she needed someone to listen kind of thing, so she had to do quite a lot of talking and working through her feelings about things. And so I offered myself for that and helped out. Oh, we got a friend joining us. Who is this? Oh, my guest. Well, 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 look who's here. Hey, big guy, good to have you.
Hey, can you hear me? I'm not sure
Yes,
if
I
I'm
can.
muted or not.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
you're here with us. How you doing,
all
brother?
right. Dude, I'm doing awesome. I'm doing some meal prep at the moment,
Okay.
so I may be a little distracted as we talk, but
Oh, that's fine.
yeah, dude, it's really good to see you again. I'm gonna have to set down my phone, so I apologize if the visual is not optimal. But
It's totally fine. You do what you got to do. We'll just chit chat and stuff. You've been doing some neat stuff. You've been taking some dance lessons and
oh
doing this
yeah,
and
dude.
that. Yeah, how's it all going?
Well, I love country swing. It is a lot of fun. I
Okay,
have excellent instructors
very
with
good.
the dance class.
Yeah.
I kind of sometimes I wish there were more country music involved. Uh,
Do you want to talk about that?
well, yeah, I think honestly, just the younger generations, which includes my instructors,
Yeah.
their culture that they grew up in is just more negrified.
Yes.
If you know
Yes.
what I'm saying, like they're
Yeah.
more used to it. It's more normalized for them.
Right.
They didn't
Right.
grow up like I did in the 80s where
Hmm.
rock and roll ruled the world
Sure. Sure.
and white people were proud of their own culture.
Yeah. Yeah.
These folks grew up when in the post grunge era where whites were kind of like, rock and roll was like weakened and then rap took over and then everyone was trying to be a wigger. And then after that is when
Yes.
these people, they grew up and, God bless them. They're good folks. And so I try not to hold it against them or anything, but yeah, I'm just, you know, it's not even just that they're playing like rap in my country swing class.
Right.
It's more that like even in the country songs, you'll hear like a hip hop beat,
Yes. Yes.
and I just, you know, and to be honest, man, like when I started this class,
Hmm.
my intention was to immerse myself in the culture of my family. And I don't know if
Sure.
you know this, but I
Yeah.
come from a family of working class white rednecks who all listen to country music, and I'm like the
Okay.
one dude who's a metalhead.
Oh gosh, so you're a little bit out of step there then. Um,
Yeah, I joined that class wanting to, specifically learn how to dance to country music.
nice,
And
very
I
nice.
think when you're teaching dance, like if you're not a musician as well, like you're probably not as sensitive to that stuff, and you probably are just looking for songs with tempos that will help
Yeah.
the students learn the movements. So I get it.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Hmm.
I mean, other than that, dude, it went so well, dude. I know some really fancy moves now, and
Wow. Cool.
yeah, I would like to continue, but I don't know. I may have to take a break for just a little while because I'm really focused on some writing that I'm doing, and
Mm. Well,
I've got
segue into
this.
that. What's going on with your writing, dude?
Well, that is actually top secret.
Oh, okay.
I can't
That's
really
fine.
talk about it under this
Oh,
identity because I
oh,
showed my face, and
don't worry about it, buddy. Don't worry about it. I get
yeah,
that
yeah.
stuff.
But
No worries.
there's
Yeah.
something that I wanted to run by you.
Okay.
And myself and bass guitarist, I don't know if you know who he is,
Kind
but
of. We've
he's like
spoken
this.
a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He's like this incredible, like 80s Chad metal guitarist.
Hmm.
And him and I have been talking back and forth about grunge and punk and rap
Okay.
and kind of the takeover of the white music sphere.
Yes.
And we've been talking about doing a podcast about this forever,
Oh
but
wow.
both of us nuked our YouTube channels.
Yeah.
And we were thinking we'd like to have like an in-depth discussion about
Sure. Sure.
what we really think about those two topics.
I'd happily
So
host that. I mean, I would
I
host it.
was wondering if
Yeah,
that would be cool.
of course, of
I
course.
told him I would ask you about it, and he's because I was just talking to him today, and we were going back and forth on it, and
Yeah, yeah.
because we've been we're secret fans of Yarling, You
Okay,
know,
that's funny.
and and
That's funny.
yeah, yeah. So we thought, oh, maybe Donald would be into this conversation and would have
Of
some input
course.
because
Of course.
you're a musician as well, and
Oh God, yeah.
you're also into like prog rock and like 70s rock a lot,
Big time. Yeah,
and
big time.
you were around during the 80s and stuff. So you know, you're like my generation, maybe a little older, but you know, you were aware of all these musical genres and such, and it would be cool to get your take as well.
Yeah, man. I mean I don't dox my age, as much as I can. But I totally am plugged in. I'm completely plugged in with all that stuff, and like a
Yeah.
huge. I'm just a big supporter of white culture. I'm a big supporter of showing people, that there is all the changes in society are engineered. They're not by accident, and
Yes.
so it's really important that people understand how these things work, who runs what, who owns what, who, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's
That's
it's kind
exactly
of
the kind of things that BG and I have been talking about. What you
mhm.
just said.
What's crazy is that I actually, this is tripped out. I have so many things like this in my life. I had a not kung fu, a martial arts instructor many years ago who was directly related to there was an there was a, I don't know, business or something called Harvey and Corky, and they
Uh huh.
used to do all the concerts in like the Northeast. And it was just, you'd hear on the radio, uh, Van Halen's coming to town, sponsored by Harvey and Corky, or whatever. Well,
Nice. Yeah. Yeah.
Harvey is for Harvey Weinstein.
Oh
Do
wow.
you hear what I'm saying? That's the
Yeah.
Harvey of
Yeah.
Harvey and Corky.
Did
And
you say
they're
Heinstein or Weinstein?
Weinstein, the Jew, the
Okay,
one that
Weinstein. Yeah. Yeah.
is
Yeah.
like in prison right now for,
Oh,
Jewiness
the
stuff.
guy.
Yeah, him. Yeah. And
Wow.
my point is, yeah, what I'm trying to get at is that, I know a guy who knows Harvey Weinstein, and I didn't, back in those days, I was in lots of bands, and I had a big, dream. I want to be a rock star, blah, blah, blah. And I was within like arm's reach of like showing my music to Harvey Weinstein without knowing
Oh
him,
my gosh. Yeah,
years
that's
ago.
wild.
I mean, because like, what was the situation? I forget what it was. Well, or whatever. There was that news cycle where Harvey Weinstein was, discovered doing, whatever, pedophilia or something, something, and he was the big guy. And then it kind of occurred to me, hold on a second. Like, I remember back some time ago, this, that, and the other thing, and I just put the pieces together. It's like that one time I was in Thailand and I was within 8 feet of his name's slipping my mind. A little Kissinger, Henry Kissinger.
Oh wow, dude.
Yeah, he was on a diplomatic mission, but he, before leaving the country, he did a little tourist jaunt at some
Dang.
temple that I was in the same tourist location as him,
Dude,
and
if
it
you
was
would have
so.
known, man, you could have did us all a huge favor.
Can you freaking imagine? Can you freaking imagine?
Yeah, dude.
I
Oh
can't.
man.
I got to be very careful what I say about, because that could be extremely
Yeah, of
bedposty, as you
course I
can
meant by
imagine.
getting his autograph or something, you know. Naturally. Yes.
Right, right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Getting his autograph, you know, because he's
Yeah,
famous.
that would have. Oh gosh, yeah, sure. Famous for killing the white race. But anyway, and then I've met Steve Bannon, and that's a whole other story. And got a picture of me with my arm around him, actually. So I don't know, one of these
Really?
days, if I'm ever, yeah, yeah. If There's
Oh
a long
man.
story behind that. I've told these stories like a bunch of times on this show and stuff. But I just have a weird karma where I'm just like a step or two away from like really huge people. This kind of stuff comes to my mind where I'm thinking, I feel as if I'm sort of meant for something, like I'm supposed to do something on a large
I would
scale,
have to agree. I would
Yeah,
have to
and I
agree.
everyone who follows my content, I think they all generally know that, and it'd be, you know, do that. I'm in this. There's a number of issues. So like half of it is you're a slog. You know, you're a zog slog. You're just like, working your effing job and paying your effing bills and just trying to get by, and
Oh
this and
yeah.
that. And that sucks all your energy out, and then there's you don't have the finances to like hire teams of people, to produce the things
Yeah.
that would need to be produced. um like all the ideas are there, it's just none of the resources are there,
Yeah. And
so
that's totally how they get us, isn't it? They keep us
yeah,
busy.
it's
They
like we're in a state of suspended animation. We're in these little, like, petri dishes, and we're just like little you get the idea. I don't have to go too far or deep into that, but
yeah.
and the thing is, the chessboard is shifting a lot. We know, we see, of course, Trump is in office, and everything is coming out very clearly that it's basically, I don't know how to say this, but it's kind of like the same people running the show, but just with a different cast, kind of,
Yeah,
um
yeah. They're definitely trying to back off strategically, it seems like. Um that quote that you shared with me earlier, the Ian Carroll quote, was really interesting. I don't know
yeah,
if you were okay
Ian
with me
Carroll
bringing
is
that up, but
rough. Yeah, go for it, dude. But can you? I mean, I don't remember exactly what it was that I sent you. Maybe you can.
oh, it was this guy was like, why are all the pro-Israel accounts like hardly getting any traction or response? And Ian Carroll was like, gee, could it be because everyone knows that Israel is behind
Yeah,
this huge pedophile child sex trafficking ring?
yeah,
you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's wild. This is what I'm trying to say, is that like our message is gone, or is going mainstream. There's more
Absolutely.
and more of these. Yeah, there's more and more of these kind of podcast talk shows with people that are, and that's kind of how the talk show world works, is that they all rehash each other's talking points.
Yeah.
It's just like a lot of them are like Jim Bro. They're like Jim Bros. I got tattoos, and
Yeah.
I'm angry, and I wear like a cap with an American flag on it. And therefore I'm
Yeah. Like Jocko Willink and Joe Rogan, stuff like that.
there's tons of that stuff out there, but I'm okay with it because they're finally catching up to us. They're
Yeah,
fine.
totally.
I mean, and it's like, it's funny how that works. It's like, oh, is it okay to say the truth now? They act like they're so fucking tough and so smart, but we're the ones out here doing the research, taking the hits, getting canceled, getting doxxed, having threats against our life and shit. And then
Yeah.
Jim Bros come along and like, oh, I'm so edgy, I'm so, like, no, you're. I mean,
Yeah, man.
again, I'm happy that they're doing the work that we laid out, but simultaneously, there's a sense of like, well, that's actually our culture. It's not yours. So.
Yeah, dude. That kind of reminds me of a friend of mine that I have that's kind of like a CivNat that's
Mhm.
slowly waking up thanks
Yeah,
to some of these kind of more mainstream content
yeah,
creators. He's
yeah, yeah,
slowly
yeah.
waking up to the JQ. And he was like, dude, did you know Israel did 9/11? And I was like, bro, I hate to break it to you, but I've known that for over 10 years now. And be careful saying that, because I got friends that have been debanked because they don't support this agenda.
About any state.
Yeah, isn't that wild?
Have non that like I'm like, okay, say that Israel rules America without saying Israel rules America. You know,
Exactly.
it, it's just trying to open a business, and it says, in order to open this You'd be like, "What the fuck is this shit?" And the government is making you do
Yeah.
it. What the fuck? So
Yeah,
it's
dude,
just
that
so
shows how
painfully.
servile we are to
It's just
the chosen puppet
well, I
masters.
mean, yes and no. My feeling is fuck the system, and fuck the system. Like, do not fucking comply. It's our
Yeah.
compliance that is allowing them to do what they do.
Yeah,
I'm
just like
very
during
serious.
the
Like,
COVID lockdown,
yeah,
same
oh
kind
god,
of mentality.
yeah, kind of blasting is don't conform. And
Yeah,
whatever the so-called, I think that, like, the myth of the American is very obvious now, that, like, there's no more these, like, oh, what, a 2% tax on our tea, we're gonna tar and feather them, like that American died long time ago. Now it's
yeah,
suck
yeah.
it and, like, get all the fuck for it. It's retards. But
Yeah,
again, I'm happy that it's moving. It just what matters, because the people out there, the Ian Carrolls and the whoever's and whatever's, where are they getting this information from? They're getting it from us. They're
absolutely.
we are the resource for this information. Where else are they fucking finding it? And then, when you look up Jared Taylor, or you look up, Joel Davis, or you look up who, you're gonna finally see all. I guarantee fucking you that Candace Owens is watching Nick Fuentes' show and taking notes. I guarantee you. I mean,
Yeah,
because, like,
dude.
he'll say, yeah, he'll say some shit that's like, oh, damn, that's fucking hot, and then she'll come out and say the same thing. I don't.
Isn't it crazy how that works? Like white people invent something and then suddenly basketball is a black sport. You know what I'm saying?
That far. I think co-opted. They're totally co-opted. Like, sports teams are owned by Jews. They
Yeah,
know what they're fucking doing. They've got a fucking agenda. It's real obvious. And it's just been like the Super Bowl is a really, really, really good barometer of.
yeah. I wonder how the numbers are doing lately for stuff like that. Like if sports ball is suffering at all as people wake up.
you know.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can't say. I mean, in we're I mean, they're building, and this thing's stuff that I want to say doxes me. Watch
of
what I say,
course.
but
Yeah,
I'm gonna say no. I think that they're gearing up for even being poured into it. Like,
yeah. That's nuts, dude.
one seat to watch a bunch of black guys run around with a ball.
Yeah,
I mean,
for
I mean, I don't know.
for
I don't know. To
Negro
me,
worship.
that's as dumb as it's
Yeah,
become that. It's become about that. Let's do a quick hello in the chat. Let me acknowledge my fine guests here. Wes is here, Victorian time traveler. Stephanie Carroll, wonderful to have you here, Stephanie. Amy A. O says Jared Taylor won't name them. I recently heard his wife is Jewish. Is that true? Anybody know about that? Hippocratic oath, but he's cool. Yeah, I mean, to me, you know, he's the one of the main red pills, of my personal journey.
Yeah, I concur with that.
Discovered, believe it or not, Richard Spencer was on like Fox News or one of the, maybe I don't remember what channel it was, but oh, this guy's kind of interesting, and yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know, one thing led to this that rabbit hole, and at the time, a lot of his speeches were on American Renaissance,
yeah,
and so I got hooked. I had to like watch every single one of them, and I was on a mission to, see every single Spencer interview and every single Jared Taylor interview. And I believe I did. I mean, if, I don't know. I'm sure there's been more since then, but it was a type of like, I don't know how to describe it. You just, it's like you find the truth and then you go nuts. You just have to eat up as much resources as you can on the topic. And this is such a taboo topic, like white identity, white sovereignty, white well-being, white political identity, all of this stuff. It's taboo, right? So I'm watching it and I'm feeling like a weird thrill of like, oh my God, I could get in trouble for this, or like if people only knew. Meanwhile, I'm like, wow, mind blowing. Kind of like your buddy who figured out that, Israel did 9/11. I'm like, oh my God, I've got to get the message out to everybody.
yeah,
Um, that sort of I got to get the message out to everybody thing didn't work out so well though. Where
yeah.
people just flip out. They just flip out. I don't know. The programming is very, very deep. This whole like, you talking about white well-being, white interests, what have you, is somehow wrong and evil, and it always equates to like, oh well, if what's good for whites is bad for everyone else, and that's a fucking psyop. That really bothers me a lot. I always
Yeah,
say
I
like,
mean,
yeah,
dude, Western civilization has been a huge benefit, a huge boon to the entire globe,
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know, and
Right.
it's undeniable.
Well, there's certain ways to kind of to figure it because you're like, okay, you benefit from all this stuff, yet you absolutely hate us, and you want to hurt us, and you are against us in every fucking way, and you're teaching college courses and creating grants to pay for people to teach this shit, and you know, it's frustrating on this show because it's like every time I talk about this, tell everything just so that I can say one little thing, because you don't know. You got new people visiting, and they who knows what they know. Are they plugged in? Are they as deep down the rabbit hole as we are? I don't know. But as far
Yeah.
as anyone who's familiar with this channel, yeah, these are just my thoughts. But
Are you
tell me more
working
about your hobby.
on? Oh,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I talk too much.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask, is this Militia Man you're working on?
Yes, yes, indeed it
Hell
is.
yeah, dude. I'm really looking forward to getting a
Okay,
copy of
I'll
this.
give you I'll give you an update. Today, so I got a guy in our community who is words and text and all the, bim
Uh,
bang crack boom, all that, all the words, the text,
yep.
and so that's a gigantic leap forward for me. I just formatted uh, for him to do that, to get moving on that. I'm going to put like I don't know, you out on my Substack for free, and
Mm,
then have like a paid subscription. People who want to like follow up, because like I'm on like page 71, 72 or something right now, and you figure like, okay, the first issue is the hook. it's like get to know the story. And the main kind of gist of it, in a sense, it's very, very dramatic. And it's got some really good stuff in there. So I think it's enough to kind of sell people on like doing a paid subscription, which is like some. And then every week I'll be able to pop up a couple pages,
Yeah.
and
No, that's great,
have,
dude.
yeah, like essentially publish it online like that. Um, yeah. So, but let's talk a little bit about this concept for this show. You're with bass guitarist. What's
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, basically,
your thoughts?
okay, I might not represent his view on it totally accurately, but a
Mhm.
really interesting idea that he was bringing up today
Mhm. Yeah.
was that people don't realize that these musical genres are avatars for groups of people.
Oh God, yeah. I
And
totally get
when
it.
you have, yeah, when you have like a certain musical genre that denotes a certain culture and a certain group of people behind it that's taking over and marginalizing all the other uh, previous
Mm.
musical genres, it is very much like a cultural takeover. And he
Oh
just
wow.
feels that like not as many people notice that as there should be, you know. And I have to
Excellent
agree.
point. That's
Um,
really a really good point. It's like a culture war.
yeah, and the other thing is, okay, so he and I have both picked up on this. There seems to be this really weird kind of like an anti-virtuosity, anti-white excellence kind of an attitude that cropped up
Interesting.
with grunge music and punk music, but it's also been here before
Yeah.
with styles like minimalism and
Hmm.
some of the obviously in like modern art there's like a de-emphasis on virtuosity and technical skill
Hmm.
and high levels of skill development and you know it just seems very much in the vein of kind of communistic egalitarian
Hmm.
thought to
Hmm.
where
Hmm.
these people are like,
Yeah.
well, I can't play any of that stuff, so you know how dare you shred or be virtuosic on your instrument,
Mm.
and not include the mediocre and the weak and the less
Interesting.
skilled, the less able.
Yeah.
It's very much in that kind of communistic, egalitarian hatred of excellence. And yeah, and shouldn't we be encouraging the opposite? Shouldn't we be encouraging white excellence? You
Certainly,
know?
certainly, absolutely, yeah. So in the visual art world, the idea anybody is, just send
Yeah.
it around. Oh, yay! Look at here's your little award. Here you get a blue ribbon, and your expression. You're in you dye your hair blue, and now you're one of us. But yeah, and it's disgusting to me. I've talked a lot about it before in other shows. There's quite a lot I could say, and I think what you're talking about is, in a sense, the musical equivalent of that. You know,
Exactly.
here's I gotta say, like I've been listening to some interviews with Kurt Cobain, and like he has like a deep, deep hatred for society. Like I agree with you in many ways, but like he says things like, I don't know the names of the chords that I'm playing. I don't know. I can't read music. I just I learned a couple things and I throw them together, but I'd be dead if I had to explain, go to this note or go to that chord or what have you. He's like that fucking off. And
Yeah.
that's made to look like, oh wow, man, he's so pure in his music and he's so cool that he doesn't learn music, man. He just plays from his heart, man. Yeah, like wow, anybody can do it. And again, it's that kind of Marxist like equalization of everything. Everything is everything a sameness of things. Granted, there's a lot of great raw power there. There's a lot to say about the punk rock music and stuff. It's kind of part of who we are to a degree too. But like if you compare the 70s to the 80s, there's a very, very clear corporate takeover of the entire music industry, which therefore changes. I don't know. I mean, it's like you go to the supermarket and you buy what food that they have. If the
Yes.
food gets replaced with like GMO, like, red number seven and all this horse shit, that's all there is to eat. Person can't write and record their own albums, right? You have to just eat what they feed you. So
Yes.
when and I there's again documentaries about these kind of things where it came down from corporate that okay, everybody has to use electric drum machines, and this, we want the drum beats to sound like this, and our whatever our test groups have shown that these songs sell, you know, blah blah blah. Even like right now, Netflix has a new thing out where the writers have to write in a certain style because people are on their phones watching a movie and they're not paying attention. So they're dumbing it down like profoundly. And
Yes.
this is just it's the that's literally the opposite of Western civilization to do this shit. Um, what you're saying. It's so I don't know, man. I mean, from the bird's eye view, though, it's like we have very little numbers. I mean, there's people are watching the Donald Kent show as opposed to Netflix right now. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so like how do we compete in that world? And granted,
Well,
there's people. Go ahead.
go ahead. I
No,
don't mean to.
I'm volleying back. You take the mic. You take the mic.
I don't mean to blackpill you, bro, but that's part of the reason I'm super hardcore and siege pilled because
Yes.
until we take power
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
have the resources for the kind of media, um, you know, businesses, corporations, resources that the puppet masters have, then
Yes.
it's going to be it's going to be nearly impossible to compete. However,
Yeah.
I mean, there's some white pills there because mainstream media is dying. People are getting tired of it.
True. Very, very
Um,
true. Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm not so sure like we can necessarily compete on the same level, but I think we can do more of like the underground grassroots kind of a thing. And I think
You know.
that if we focus on that kind of an approach, we just keep doing that until it totally hits the mainstream. And I kind
So
of think it will at some point.
okay, you just gave me an idea. If I could get Ian Carroll to play some of your songs or my songs, or you know what I mean, and like feature that somewhere, be
Yeah.
like, hey, wow, check out, to give us some time, you're understanding what I'm
Yes.
saying, right? Because
Yeah, I totally
they've
understand
already,
what you're saying.
yeah, um, they're
I have
commanding
another
a
thought
great deal
about
of it.
that.
Go ahead.
I I deal in the real world a lot, right? Like a lot of us do, in the world of normies, of people who are like, you know, I don't know if you hear this, bro. I actually really hate this take. Like, I'll tell someone like, yeah, I'm not into rap music. That is not my jam. I don't want to promote that culture. And the response I invariably get from the normies is, oh no, man, I love everything, man. It's all good, bro. Like every everything is valid. And I'm just thinking to myself, dude, would it fucking kill you to have a
Yeah.
little bit of a backbone, to have a little loyalty and a little
Right.
solidarity with your own culture, with your own
No
folk,
shit.
with your own people? And then the other
Yeah.
thing I think is like, what it that's completely meaningless. Like the only thing that makes love worth anything is exclusivity. So if you're like
Hmm.
trying to, if you're saying that you love your people, but you're trying to keep your options open by saying that, you know, you love everything, man. You love the gangster rap just as much as you love Van Halen. Well, that's bullshit,
Hmm.
dude. That's
Yeah.
just bullshit. That's like a cowardly position and a
Yes.
cowardly take, and it just
Right.
makes your love meaningless if you're not
Hmm.
willing to stand for anything. Like, so anyway,
Hmm.
I'll
Hmm.
get off my soapbox now, but I think
No, no,
I
no.
made a point.
Well, that's partly why I gave you the link to come on the show because I agree with you very much, and you're both very articulate about your idea and important, and it's like that's why I'm like super keen on doing like say that the show about music with bass guitars, etc. Um, kind of paused from drawing so I'm gonna absorb this a little bit. Um, so I want to tell you a tiny story. Somebody reached out to me on one of our private channels, and he's another content developer, musician, super hardcore based white nationalist dude. And he's like, "Hey man, check out this tune that I did." And I think he was to be a part of it musically, like maybe do something. I don't remember, but it was basically a hip hop song with a hip hop super based white nationalism. And
Yeah. 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 His heart is in the
are you
right
really
place.
clear about your thoughts on that? So I yes, yes, yes. So I said, okay, listen, you're destroying the message by couching it in black culture. Like this what you're saying, and it's like if I were to give you medicine but wrap it in poison, it's not going to work. You're shooting yourself in the foot by
Yeah.
doing this. And I appreciate what you do. The poetry is great, the statement's great, the delivery system is horrendous. I hate it, and I don't hate you, and I respect blah 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 blah, blah and blah blah blah, and then he counter me, with like, so the dude's obviously a lot younger than me, and it's just like that's all they know. It's just
Yeah.
fucking disturbing as shit to me that like white guys in their 20s bubble, they just grew up with this trap music, this hip hop shit, and they can't they baked into who they are. I'm like, do you understand do you see what's fucking wrong here?
Yeah.
This is really wrong. It's really, really wrong. And you gotta snap out of this shit. Like, no. So anyway, whatever. We went back and forth and back and forth. And I just destroyed every point, nice, polite,
Yeah.
you know, in a very polite way. Because, yeah, I was like, listen, man, we're both in the same war. We're just fighting it on different fronts. I wish you success. And I acknowledge the reality that, yes, your people or whatever your generation, not your people, are that you're stuck in that mode. And that is the delivery system for that particular demographic. I hate it. I fucking hate
Yeah.
it. It's atonal, it's chimpanzee, it's awful. So like you shouldn't do it.
Yes.
But like I can't. So like that's all I got to say at the end here is like luck to you. But I hope you learned something from what I had to say. And I don't know
Yeah.
if he did know the trajectory of that culture. I said I was like, do this least loop some kind of white music, like some rock and roll or something that is clearly oh, that's that song from Leonard Skinner or some shit, I don't know, or
Yeah.
Boston, or even some fun kind of new wavy stuff. So I don't like the Cars or the Police or something, or
Yep.
Depeche Mode or some shit. But like, don't make it black. Like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Like, you're not from the ghetto. You don't have to pretend you're black to be cool. Stop.
Yeah.
Stop. Like,
That's
pull your pants up. Stop wearing these retarded looking hats, and
yeah.
like
The
just
flat billed hats.
be. Oh
That
God, I
shit
fucking
pisses me
hate those
off
hats.
every. I
Piss me
know,
off
dude.
so.
It just yeah. It looks so juvenile and so fucking
Oh
tacky, and
God,
it it looks like
so
they're
retarded.
deliberately trying to look less white
Uh,
to me. Because
oh
white
my
dudes are
God.
famous for having the rounded bill, of their baseball caps,
Yeah, I
and
know. I know. Oh my
and
God,
it's
it's
like
so
they
funny.
they did that just to be less white. I fucking
This
swear, dude.
you're I know, I'm telling you, dude. So we can go on that on the show. Let me jump on
Yeah,
part of the show. I like to interact with everyone. Okay, anti-whiteism ends with you is here. Who is this? He sounds like Fornell. Well, he's another one of our guys. We got Luke Mason, Imminent Rain. I urge you guys to look up Imminent Rain, Reign, on YouTube, and you'll see this guy is one of the most amazing shredders, incredible songwriters, incredible vocalist, guitar playing. This dude is a freaking god. He's like the Thor of of like shredding in the white nationalist culture. So. And a really, really dear close friend. So, and we even played in a little band for one show. So,
yes,
he
it
he
was
was
glorious.
it was so glorious. But yeah, so Fornall, of course, is another guy associated with the White Art Collective,
Yeah, I missed that guy.
big time. We're all from the White Art Collective. Fornall is extraordinary in terms of like what a great songwriter, a musician. He provides a lot of culture for Jason Kuna's No Community, Dungeon Synth, and all that stuff. So like, you guys have a real gem over there with our buddy. And I know him, of course, from the White Art Collective. But anyway, moving on. Hippocratic Oath says it sounds like Zog Comics. I came in late. So Friday nights I do another show with another cartoonist. He calls his comics Zog Comics, and so I thought, okay, Friday night Zog Comics review. That would be like the name of the show. And he's super based and all that other stuff. We talk about some pretty heavy stuff. Of course, we talk about the small hats and this and that.
Oh
But
yeah,
like, you and him are like brothers from another mother. Yeah. That's
I've
all
yeah
I'll say.
I've seen
There's
some parts of those shows and they're great.
no
That guy
cool.
is a great choice to have on the show.
Yeah, and right, like the work that he does, the style, the ideas that he has, like he's a real treasure, and I believe needs more attention. So like I'm giving him that, or we're doing that show together. Anyway, moving on. Time Traveler says, my brother's wife is pregnant with a baby girl. I was on the phone with my sister. She's making her a dress and hat. How lovely. What a refreshing thing to hear in in these dark times. You got to make babies, guys. Every time I see a young white couple, I'm always like, get married, make babies, get married. I'm like sending them the message, psychically.
Yes.
Eagle Pax Max is here. Hey, brother, good to have you back. Jonathan Jackson. Hello, everyone. You from, sir? You you're new to the show, so welcome to the show. Slimy Liver is here. I eat a little too personal, but it's I appreciate your courage to share that with us.
I
So
mean, it sounds delicious to me, right?
I think it's all in how you spice it. I think if you got the right herbs and spices, you guys know that I lived in Taiwan for some years, 4 years, And in Taipei, they have a place called Snake Alley, which is pretty neat. And it's they literally do eat snakes in Snake Alley. It's I mean, it's got that Chinese like ew kind of oh they eat that kind of it's like that place. You've probably seen videos or this or that. But anyway, moving on back to our conversation. So what's going on with you creatively? Well, I guess I don't know if you can share any thoughts.
Oh, mainly I'm working on my super secret book project, and
Okay, cool.
what I have found, uh,
Mm,
I'm not a big tech guy. I'm not a big
got it.
fan of things like AI. But recently,
Okay.
what I've discovered is that AI can be really useful in terms of like
Oh, okay.
organizing your ideas.
Right, right,
And
right.
because as a writer, like a lot of times you come up with all these ideas and you want to somehow piece them together. And
Sure,
for things
sure.
like that, for things like research, probably better for research when it comes to like fiction stuff, because
Mm-hmm.
you do have to double check things if you're trying to use it for a scholarly purpose and you're using AI. But yeah, dude,
Mm-hmm.
I I'm actually more and more okay with certain uses of it. Or like if in the
Mm-hmm.
art world, it's probably more time effective to use AI for like
Mm-hmm.
references to draw
Yeah,
from rather than
yeah.
trying to find the exact pose that you're looking for. Uh, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and then if you look, if you draw it too close to the copyrighted image, like a friend of ours was saying in the chat the other day,
Yeah.
you run the risk of them nailing you for copyright infringement or whatever. So, and
Mm-hmm.
AI, of course, can't be copyrighted because it's just a computer. So I don't know. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little still tentative about AI and a little freaked out about it. But when you've got dudes
Okay.
that are like ultra
Mm-hmm.
traditionalists, like Dave Martell, that's like, no, you can't have any ideas. We must go back to the old religions,
Oh,
And
I
even
know, I
and
know.
even he
Yeah.
is like, adopting AI and saying, no, dude, you got to get on
Yes,
it, or you're
yes,
going to get left in the dust. Then I think that's a good
right,
sign that it's a good
right.
tool. And
I
the other thing I wanted to say about that real quick is my buddy said, bro, if you don't use AI, you're going to be like the carpenter who insists on using a hammer when all the other carpenters are using a nail gun.
wow. Wow, there's wow, man, I'm like a million thoughts are running through my head right now about this. I had this idea of trying to start some kind of okay, once a week, everybody, like kind of meet up. Maybe I'll start a Telegram group. That's actually a great idea. Like, okay, the okay, so over here we're going to brainstorm, what do we need to do? Okay, well, we need to reach these people, or we need to produce this propaganda, or we need to blah blah blah, whatever the things are that we come up with. And then you got image makers, you got writers, you got mind maps, you got video. There's just people can kind of allocate different things that can team up on little things, and then start utilizing it to produce even more media for our culture and for our cause. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
So I
I
think
mean,
that's like one of those. Go ahead.
yeah, I totally agree with that. And I kind of think it's going to be like a luxury to
Mm,
make art the old way. It's kind of like
mm,
like living the old way, like living out in the country has kind of become a luxury that only the rich people
yeah,
are mostly moving out to the country because they can afford to do that.
I
Whereas
know,
like
I
the
know.
the rest of the working class folks, we have to like slog on in the city because that's where we
Yeah,
can find
yeah,
employment. Well, I think art is
yeah.
going to be the same way at some point. Like in order to keep up and to get your message out there, which is arguably the most important part of it, I
Hmm.
think people are going to have to use every tool at their disposal just to just
Yeah,
to
yeah.
like get their message out there and
Hmm.
not go broke trying to compete with all the other people that are using everything at their disposal.
Hmm. Hmm. So there you go. That's really good. Heard it. Uh,
Hell yeah.
give us a hint. Hippocratic Oath says Socrates had a similar problem. He wasn't sure writing was a good idea since you didn't
Mm.
do it became a patient agent Smith. That's
That is.
uh, I don't know. I just feel like hiding from these things. Right, hiding from these things is never the answer. It's just they're tools. So you.
Yeah.
So there you go. Um, there's obviously some deeper rabbit there. I don't know how to phrase this. It's something like AI robots have just been like approved to make their own robots. So imagine
Wow.
robots making robots. Like what could possibly go wrong there? What could possibly go wrong? Uh yeah, it's fucking retarded, dude. This shit is so profoundly. So this is a thing that I heard in the UFO community is that like this is why we're a backwater in like the UFO world is that we're so fucking stupid. Like we're the way we damage our own environment and like killing each other all the time and like who the fuck wants to hang out with humans. Fucking idiots. So anyway, that's just like some I buy it. I believe that. I get it. But
Yeah.
what are you
That's an
gonna do?
interesting viewpoint for sure, man. Interesting thought tunnel to go down,
You
see
got it.
how it would look from someone else's perspective.
Indeed, indeed. Good evening
Mr.
to Mr. Moose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We see a lot of moose where I'm at in North Idaho.
Um, oh, that's cool. That's nice.
Yeah.
Um, what's the economy like out there? Like, if somebody wanted to live out there, what would they do? What are some of the? I mean, I know it's a beautiful place, but I
Yeah.
don't know how do people survive there?
It's kind of its own little bubble here in North Idaho where I'm at. Housing prices are still real expensive
Okay.
here. It's really hard for people to live here. And what they're doing in my area is they're putting in a lot of low cost housing, apartments, which is actually, I kind of wish they weren't doing that, if I'm going to be honest, because I think it's going to
Mhm.
attract the wrong kind of people and I
Mm.
don't know, man. It lowers the beauty of the area, putting a bunch of boxy apartments in it. It's
Stand that shit. Yeah,
yeah,
100%.
but I don't know. There's the city I live in. I'm not going to dox myself, but the place I live in is a little bit less expensive in some respects than just across the border in Washington State. So it is. I don't know, and it's definitely like a different universe than Washington State because even though it's just across the border, like we have way less
Okay.
diversity over here, and also way less crime and homelessness and
Yeah.
litter, and I don't know, it's really nice. It's worth living here if you can find work. That's kind of the tough part. It's not a big city. You're going to be limited unless you can work mobile, which is,
Mhm.
there's huge advantages to that if you can find some sort of a gig doing that. And it seems like there's more and more things. I was considering looking into a couple different mobile things, but I'm really pretty happy where I'm at doing what I'm doing. And
Great.
yeah,
That's
I'm
good
not
to
gonna
hear.
dox myself as to what my job is, but yeah, it's a great place to live, and
Sure, sure. Yeah.
yeah, it ain't too bad unless you're trying to buy eggs, but
Well, I think just some shit like like how like big farms are being destroyed, and it's
Mhm.
just shit like that. It's just like fuck, man. It's like okay, we need to make life even harder. Every single thing seems to be about the destruction of America, but it's like death by a thousand cuts, though. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yep.
Like if you look at the amount of money going out to other countries around the world, not just like Ukraine or Israel. It's insane amounts of the, and nobody agreed to that. You know, 'cause if they couldn't accept like a 2 cent tax on their television, but they now if they knew the amount of money being spent, you know,
Oh, yeah.
so
They would be
I
furious.
don't know. That to me is like, well, there'd be a lot of rope. We would need a lot of rope, if you know what I'm trying to say.
Yes. Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. It's
Yeah.
it's kind of a tragedy that our folk have been so domesticated
Yes,
and
there you
so
go. There you go.
civilized that we won't fight for anything anymore, even our own people, you know.
So
So,
I saw a quote from Friedrich Nietzsche about how like man is the most domesticated animal of them all. That
yeah.
you know, leave it to the
Oh,
harsh
yeah.
truths.
Beyond
Um,
based and cringe.
yeah, but but yeah, it is what it is. There you go.
Well, hey,
Um,
bro, I'm sorry to do this to you. I'm gonna dip out because I got to get up early to work in the morning. But I really appreciate your
okay.
conversation with me and having me on. And I love your artwork as always, dude. I'm really excited for Militia Man to
Thank
come
you.
out, and
Thanks, buddy.
I I'm really thrilled that I got mistaken for Nola in the chat because that dude is super talented, and I got to
Mm,
collaborate with him on a song once, and I really I miss the old days when we were all hanging out in the White Art Collective. Those were some
the
glorious
family.
times. But
Like I
yeah,
so agree
dude,
with you, dude.
and it's
All right,
really
brother.
good to touch base with you again, bro. So
Yep,
anyhow,
yep. I'll talk to you soon. I'll talk to you soon.
sounds good, man. Hails.
Hails. God bless. See ya.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye. Chat. If you can hear me speaking without any audio crunch. I'm sure it's probably okay now. Let's get back to the chat. Um, let's see. I just started writing another book. Something Telegram is really good. Socrates. Says, but diversity is our greatest strength. Lol. We were never asked. Absolutely. Okay, your audio is fine. Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Um, so there you go, and now you know. So what was I talking about? Yes, I've got a friend who is going to be doing the what you call it, the lettering, and then I got a dude who he's done a lot of the coloring on the Alliance book, which the Alliance is this other job that I've been doing. A lot of my art streams show comics, the Alliance comic. Um, it's not my story. I didn't write the story, but I created the characters, this and that, blah blah. Blah. So anyway, we'll see how it goes. I want this book to have really, really, really good quality coloring, like Marvel. level, like Marvel DC level, like very, very high quality. And there's a lot of people out there that can do that, but there's not a lot of people that can do it artistically. And that's really more what I'm looking for. So when you're an artist, you see things that other people don't see immediately. Like if you look at a film, for example, you'd be like, I love the palette in that film, and like the color palette of a film. What is that? So, but it matters. It's not like somebody just shot the whole thing on their phone or a VHS or some shit. So these are things, I want there to be like some subtle richness to the work that I'm doing, to the point so that it adds quality to it. I don't want it to be like, candy coated cutesy comics. This is a serious story. It is superheroes, but okay, did anybody ever see The Watchmen, the movie The Watchmen? Okay, those were superheroes, but those themes were really dead serious. Very, very serious stuff. So my militiaman is the Watchman for our time. That's really the best marketing I could give for it. Is just to tell you that like the Watchman dealt with like issues of like what was it just the nuclear clock is ticking, and the Cold War, America and Russia, and other themes as well. But um so I'm dealing a lot with government corruption, the small hats, and all this, that, and the other thing. So it'll come to pass. It'll come to pass. So hello from Anime D Drawing. Hi, 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 hi. Hindi. Oh, you speak Hindi. Okay. Message retracted. Okay. So hello, and there you go. And now you know. I always like to know where my folks are from. Anyone in the chat? It's nice to get a sense of like, and also it's really important for me to know where you or how you found my channel. So a lot of people will just be on YouTube, and then YouTube will suggest like, oh, you might like this show. Click here, and then they click on, and they're like, what the heck is this stuff? Like, who's this Donald Kent guy? What is this militiaman stuff? Baha'i Kaunsi countries say ho. That's what I was gonna say. Oh my god. My location, nice try, Fed. That was the funniest answer ever. Okay, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have asked that. Never mind. Um, oh my god, what am I doing? Um, let's say region. It doesn't have to be like I don't want your home address. Okay, but yeah, I analytics actually shows where a lot of the people come, like YouTube has analytics, and I'm just kind of trying to get to know the audience better to whatever extent I can. Um, das ist gut, but yeah. So this part of the story, do you guys remember the riots in 2020? This was a really, really bad time. There were a lot of riots in America. So that's pretty much what I'm expressing in this part of the story is, you know, a time when we were going through the destruction of our country. Um, and it really, like America in the past 8 years or so has had the shit kicked out of it in terms of like politics and culture. There's been just so many things that have happened that have been, of course, COVID obviously is the big one. Excuse me. But we just had so many traumas, one after the next. The election was stolen. You know, um, you know, just trauma after trauma after trauma. Um, so I feel like as a nation, we're deeply injured. And this story expresses that. So it's I don't know if other comics do or have or what have you, but it's certainly a theme that I'm working with in Militia Man. Oh, let's see. I'm Indian. Okay. Welcome to the chat, Indian Man. I almost had a chance to work in Bombay, actually. I was going to get hired as an editor, a book editor for a publishing company in Bombay. What's Bombay like? Is that a decent place to live? I don't know. What else have we got here? Mr. Moose says, I don't recall specifically. Oh, Mumbai. No, not Mumbai, Bombay, India. So it's in north central India. I don't recall specifically how I found your channel, maybe through a shared link on another platform, but I've been following the White Art Collective for many years. Most awesome. Happy to hear that. That is good. I don't, is other than say maybe for Null, I don't think there's anyone else from the White Art Collective that's still out here doing shows, to my knowledge. I'm just, I mean, I know I'm pretty much, plugged in to whatever's out there and what's going on. But yeah, I don't know. Things are changing. Anyway, what time is it? It's. I'm good. I'm gonna hang out for a bit more. Unknown Artist is back. How do you start making a comic? So I would say that you start with a concept. There has to be something that you care about, that you find interesting enough to put in the time and effort to produce a comic. So once you have those ideas and that passion, then you create a script outline. So there's a lot of resources online about how to write scripts and things of this nature. It's not, I guess, not the easiest thing. Like hmm, well, anything you do enough of, you're going to get good at over time. You know what I'm saying? So, um, yeah, developing the story is a lot about character development. You know, who are the characters? What is the conflict? How is the conflict resolved? What is the subtext? What is it you're trying to say? What do you want your audience to experience? Does the story end where everything returns to the status quo, or does it end where nothing will ever be the same and the characters have been like irrevocably damaged and transformed or something? Like the story of Militia Man is one of a man who is he's a hero who turns into like an anti-hero. He's not a villain. Many would call him a villain in the end of the story because of his transformation, but in my view, my belief, um you can't tolerate evil, you have to kill it. So I don't know if that's like a quote. I mean, it's that kind of, whatever, that idea is out there. It's not my original idea, but you can kind of see what I'm saying, because like there's things that are never ever ever going to go away unless you destroy them totally. And that's, I'm going to just stop there. I'm not going to go deeper on that topic. However, um how do you destroy these things? Why do you destroy them? What does it all mean? Blah 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 blah. You got to get into the nitty gritty of the story, and then knowing how to tell a story in an entertaining way is a whole other thing. There's the story structure of like beginning, middle, end, three acts, blah blah blah. So like the script writing itself is a whole world unto itself. Now, uh, character design, creating characters. Okay, what do they look like? What are their personality types? What are their superpowers? In my case, um, how do they interact with each other? What is their relationship to each other? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? You gotta, you can almost create like a little cheat sheet of like their biography. Joe Schmo from Idaho. He grew up on a farm, and his family struggled through the depression and learned how to survive and this and that. And he was brought up with like good strong Christian ethics or something. But one day, like he something happened to him and it changed him irrevocably. Well, so like you got to make interesting characters, but they should be realistic to some extent. You get what I'm saying? So like, unless your goal is to be goofy and cartoony and make caricatures, but I don't recommend doing stories with people that are characters that are like silly, to the extent, unless like you're a humorist or something. But I think it's important that your characters are believable, that they're like human, essentially, um, and knowing how to then dialogue is its own thing, like how do people talk? What's the pace? What's the tone of these things? There's quite a lot to that. Anyway, so you're done with that. You got it pretty much laid out. And then in my case, I actually draw the storyboards while writing the story, and I'll put the dialogue and the word balloons right into the storyboard. That way, you know, um, when I show the work to my letterist or somebody, they know where the word balloons go. They can see how to put it together, yada yada. And so the storyboards, I don't, of course, have it like handy, so I can't put it on camera at the moment. But they lay out the images like, okay, these panels are in these shapes, and the story moves in this pattern, and the emphasis is going to be here. When you're drawing a comic book and laying it out, like I was mentioning, you're like a filmmaker. You become literally a type of a filmmaker, and you have to say, okay, where should I put the camera? What's the actor's motion here? How are things moving? How does the eye flow around the page? So let's look at this page alone right here. Okay, why would I have to design this? Okay, so this page is in a sequence, obviously, of pages. And what's happening is the riot's over, and now it's damage control. You've got ambulances coming in, you got people that are dead and dying. There's police cars are burning, the church is on fire, these Christian statues have been vandalized. And Militia Man is kind of having a moment where he's like stepping back and looking at all the damage. And so here I'm using an aerial shot, right, where it's kind of like a bird's eye shot coming down, and the dynamic shape of the cross like that, and then you can even see it in the sidewalk here. It's kind of echoed like that. So the shot is a really powerful shot. The eye pulls you, or rather, the composition pulls your eye into it, and then so what's all this dead space over here? Well, that's where the damn word balloons go. Okay, so he's going to be like, thought balloons, word balloons. He'll be like, how did America come to this? What's become of our people? Why are we like this? What's happening in America? I'm like, he's kind of confused and devastated. And then there's a little close-up shot of Jesus on from the statue here. And so there's a pause there where you know the audience gets to kind of see the statue. This will be like gray or something, because obviously it's a statue, it's not actually meant to be Jesus, right? And so while the audience is going through this sequence of these images with that, and then the close up, and then of course the questioning of like what's happening to our country, then they see it in a certain context. It's supposed to elicit emotion. Then the camera cuts to a wide shot and you're kind of panning across, and we have a very deep depth of field. Depth of field. Okay, that's like an industry term. Like the shot goes way back into space, and we see all these things layered up. We see him kind of looking again. He looks perplexed. In the foreground, we see a boy. It looks like he's bleeding to death. His mother's crying. There'll be more of these thoughts in here where it's like, what could I have done to stop this? Or like, I blah, 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 whatever he's saying. And then here we see this is actually a statue of the Virgin Mary that's smashed behind him. Oh, by the way, the way that this is drawn is meant to the eye reads in a Z pattern. Okay. So you must compose in a Z pattern to move the eye like you're reading a book. Okay. So why you do this from like this part here? Why is it from what do you call it? A bird's eye? Because that's the way I can fit all this stuff in, plus have dead space to put the balloon. So element, 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 and then Jesus is looking down this way. The pattern of the sidewalk is moving down this way, and the eye falls directly down to here. And that is the invisible Z pattern. Do you see it? Okay. And then what's he doing? He's looking across the panel into the foreground, and we see this dramatic shot of the boy and the mom. So, and then of course the word balloon is going to go across. So you're reading, physically reading. So when you're done reading, your eye will fall right into this scene. And then this guy laying down, that is an element that points you right back to him. So then he's in a vertical here. So that's going to drop your eye right down to this scene. And then of course the word balloons will be right there. So your eyes will go down, you read the word balloon, and then you kind of come across again another bird's eye view. The bird's eye view I feel has like an objective, like an I'm the observer sort of, like you're kind of observing the whole scene and contemplating the whole scene, which is what he's doing, you see. So there's meaning in all this stuff. It's just you don't just throw this shit out there. It's like everything is intentional, so he's holding a torn up American flag. There's a garbage can spilled over. You got, paint, spray paint cans, anarchy, blah blah blah, all the shit. And then he's kind of half in the dark shadow here, which starts to lead us into the next sequence. And of course, he's starting to feel really angry and like disillusioned, like what's happening to America. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, comes this guy who, in the story, this guy has a huge. I can't tell you the whole damn story. Like he's a really, really, really important person. He's actually the father of Militiaman, but Militiaman doesn't know that yet. And so he shows up and he's extending his hand, like "Follow me." Like you were meant for something greater than this. America is dying, and you're the only one that can save this country, but you must follow me and I can show you the way. And so Militiaman was like against him before and running away from him. And then in the final shot, if I can get it close up for your view, I got stuff in the way here, hold on, is a very dramatic close up of Militiaman. His face is in shadow. Behind him is just flames. And you can see by his eyes, by the angle of his head, and even the angle of the word, not what's the fucking thing called? Panels. Again, it's meant to pull the eye down into this. And so you can see he doesn't even have to say anything, just the glance in his eyes, the shadows, the flames behind him. It's a very dramatic moment where he's transforming, he's changing, he's becoming someone new in a way, right? And that's what happened to all of us when we saw that our country is taken over by foreign interests. That's what happened to us when we saw that the election could just easily be stolen right out from underneath our noses. That's what happened to us when we discovered, people in the Trump camp that just threw him under the bus when we still believed in Trump. You see what I'm saying? We changed. America changed. We grew up in a way. Not all of us, but many of us. And that growth continues to happen. That's a disillusionment. And so I'm this guy. I'm like, you know, come follow me. I will show you the way. So that's I don't look like that, by the way. I mean, I kind of look like that a little bit. No. Yes, no, maybe. Anyway, so do you have any questions? I just gave like a pretty kick-ass, lesson on how to do comics based on this one single page. Um, it'd really be neat if I could get some feedback from you guys, though. So I'm now going to have awkward silence. And sorry, I get a little impatient. Sometimes I get really flustered when I can't like think of the words that I'm trying to say. I'm because it's not easy to talk and draw at the same time. It's a little. I know what I mean, but it's like, what's the damn way to express this? Um, I hope it's helpful. I mean, I could do that for the whole book. I could be like, okay, I drew it this way because, and go through the whole thing. Um, clip that. That's a damn good idea, bro. Damn good idea. Well said. Thank you. No, not really. That was good. Okay, cool beans. Um, unknown artist. What kind of work do you do? Are you into comics? What's your thing? But see, everything I just said is like a mini course in why I love comics. Did you see how much dynamics there is in here? I mean, it's insane. It's wild. The script writing alone is just a really really exciting art form, and there's just so much that can be done, and I don't know. I'm just very excited by it. Um, but again, you have to be extremely driven. You have to be really, really, really driven. Like, am I trying to say here? What's important? What's meaningful? And we're living in fucking crazy times, guys. There's a lot to be said and a lot to be heard. Unknown artist says, I have been wanting to get into comics, but I usually do commissions. Yeah, I was in that zone for a long time. The whole like, I'm not complaining. It's nice to make money from freelance art. I love it. But I have my own ideas that need to be expressed, and so I had to kind of get to a point where I'm like, okay, that's enough. I got to stop taking commissions and doing my own work. And I even now I still get commissions. And a lot of times people don't have the money, frankly. They're like, hey, I got $100 and I want like the Mona Lisa. And I'm like, dude, come on, like, come on, seriously. So that happens. What can I tell you? All right, what time is it now? It is 11, no, 10:41. Okay, dokie. Okay, dokie. I'd say comics. See, I was on what's the show? Aureus Press. Ages. Fucking, my brain's burned out. It's late. Aureus Press. Yeah. Brandon Hurd. I was on his show. I don't know, 2 weeks ago, and he does comics as well. And he kept saying like, how do you do what you do? Like, I know how laborious this is. Laborious is the word. A lot of work, a lot of effort, very time consuming. To be quite honest with you, when you're really, really in the zone, it's almost like a meditation because you have to kind of like force yourself to sit for 8 hours and just go, 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 like almost like a machine. That can be really hard to do. You're not just gonna fall out of bed and just do that out of nowhere one day. It takes you gotta kind of build up to that. when you can. Um, anyway, uh, so understanding anatomy. See, a lot of it is storytelling. It's just storytelling, like knowing how to put images together in a way that is enjoyable and moves the reader, along a path. Um, um, and Brendan was saying like every single panel has to be like a work of art in itself, and that's a hell of a lot of pressure, to make that. For me, that's not so much the problem. For me, what's hard is drawing so damn small. Like I went to art school and I would do a painting on a 5 foot canvas, but now I have like 2 inches by 2 inches and I'm supposed to work magic. It's really, really hard to do that. And it takes time. If you work on it, you'll get it, but it's its own thing. You have to you got to figure that out. You got to build up to it. Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing. Lord Donald, Humphrey is here, my friend, my dear friend. What's good? All right, man. It is so good to have you. It's good to see you. We had Luke Mason on the show earlier. It's too bad you weren't here during that. Um, okay, comics are film on paper. That is my dude. You just got 100 points because you just quoted Donald Kent. That was very good. You moved to the top of the class right there. Excellent. Um, I have been also I started recording music. I mentioned this on another show. I met a new friend who is local guy, and he's like a pro music producer, has a nice studio, and he was like, oh really? Okay, well let me check out my music. And I'm always a little afraid to show people my music because I don't know, like once they hear my message and stuff, they're gonna be like, "Oh my god, you're nuts! You get out of here." But this guy was like, "Dude, I love your shit. This you get over to the studio right away." So that is kind of cool. We got a thing coming down the line there. Pretty excited about that. And then a while ago, I had a show with a guest on. He's a local friend who's a indie filmmaker, and we did a show on. Help me out, Hippocratic Oath. The filmmaker who just died is. See, this is what it's like being a genius: is that you can only use so much of your brain at a time. Awesome, man. Music, voice of the soul. You have a glorious soul, brother. Oh, God bless you, man. God bless you. That's you, dude. I gotta move to Iceland. That's all I gotta tell you, man. I gotta move to Iceland. David Lynch. David Lynch. So we did a David Lynch show. It was a cool show. It was a nice show. And anyway, long story short, this friend is also a guitar player, and he's like a very, very, very sincere artist and a really sincere person. And so there's one of my songs that he is totally in love with. The song is a love song, and it's a kind of a it's just I actually just put it up on my YouTube. It's just titled Love Song. So if you guys look around the music playlist, you'll find it. It's just a pretty song. It's not like, you know, fight the power. It's not that kind of thing. It's just, again, it's just a love song. But musically, it's very pretty. It's very nice. It's a good composition, and he's really into it. He's in a band, and he likes that kind of like shoegazing alternative rock kind of stuff. That's like his, not exclusively, like he likes a lot of just any kind of Americana music, Grateful Dead, country music, classic rock, anything like that. Anyway, he created a guitar part that is like a counterpoint to my part that I wrote. And when you hear them together simultaneously, it's otherworldly. It will take you to another dimension. It's just so pretty. It's like, wow, you know. So he's like, dude, if you know, I'd love to work with you on recording that song. Like, I really want to be a part of that. So he came over, we rehearsed. I think it was even, was it last night? Not last night. I was no, I don't remember. It was recently. And so that was phenomenal. And then him just today, he told me that, he's going to make a music video for that, once we get it, done in the studio and whatever. So now I'm like, oh man, this is so crazy. I got a dude to work with me on my music, and he's making videos for it, and then in addition to that, another friend in our community, artist friend. I won't say his name at the moment because I don't know. He's very cautious about stuff. Um, he's offering to do the lettering on Militia Man. So it's just so sweet when you got cool people that you can work with that are a part of the community, and then that saves me money, it saves me time. It's just sick. It's cool. And on top of that, Mr. Hamfari, if I'm pronouncing that right, you and I need to do some musical collaborations. Yes, we do. Now, I don't have the kind of the pro equipment that I think really would be necessary to like record vocals on my end. Um, I I don't know if there's something like there's two ways that I can record. One is just like straight into my laptop microphone, which is a shitty little microphone. It's not meant for music recording. But also on my phone, there's like it's kind of like a tape recorder type thing. If you want to record yourself saying notes of some kind, oh, note to self, buy laundry detergent this weekend, or this that kind of shit. That might work. I don't know. If you have any advice on that, I think we could be working together. You know. Um, I'm gonna read some chat. Suad is here. David Lynch. Thank you, Suad. Definitely need to do that. Let me back up a little bit here. Jonathan Jackson, are you still with us in the chat? Um, let's take a look. Who else is with us? Anime D, are you still here? Mr. Moose, are you still here? Um, awesome. I'm sorry, I'm reading the chat. Music, voice. Hamfari says, I made a synthwave song a few months ago called Love is a Battlefield. Mm-mm. Indeed. We definitely need to do some collab. We definitely, yes. Most indeed. Yes, sorry, Bob. I'm trying to think, like, you have a lot of different music. Which one would be best for us to collaborate on? Huh. I like the techno stuff that you've done. It's very, very cool. I think I could see myself doing some cool lyrics with your whatever that I say techno because I don't know the exact genre that you would call it. But I'm sure you know what I'm referring to. Um, all right, very good. coming together nicely. All right, what am I doing? Here we go. Okay. One of the nice things is when you lay out something like this and then you go in and add the spot blacks. Spot blacks are just like shadows, certain shadowed areas, and it just fills the whole thing out. It looks nice. About to get into that in a second here. Probably this one. Okay. Yes, the techno has few rules regarding sound, so recording a voice can be done with anything really than just engineer the shit out of it. So yeah, okay, because I've worked with other guys, producers, whatever, and one I use. Okay, uh, you guys probably know the song on my channel, "Someday Is Today." So George Freud, the guy who wrote the music, he's reached out to me. He's like, "Hey, man, I love your stuff. I'm a music producer or something, something. Let's do a tune." And then, I picked that music that he had already pre-recorded, and then, wrote and sang my own lyrics to it. And again, I just used my laptop microphone, and he was like, "Oh, dude, that sucked. It took me years to compress the hell out of it and make it okay for the blah 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 blah." Blah. And I'm not a sound engineer. I don't know how to do that stuff. I don't understand quite how that works exactly. Um, but after him telling me that, I've been very reluctant to continue doing this kind of work because I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, it was such a pain in the ass. I don't want to inconvenience you." I think that my phone actually has like really decent recording quality, but the problem is I like to do harmonies. So, what is the software? I forget what it's called. Oh shit! Starts with an A. Audacity. I'm wondering if I could probably email myself like a couple, like, okay, let's say I write a vocal part, I email it to myself, I dump it into Audacity, and then while I play that, I can design the vocal harmonies or background vocals or something, whatever the thing is that I want to do, and then send those to you, Amfari, so that you can put them together in the studio and figure out, what you want to do with it. I know that music production in a way is a lot like video editing, where you can put all kinds of cool filters on things and make things echo, or there's just all kinds of really nice studio tricks, especially in techno, that sounds sick. It's just really really sick. So that'd be dope. I would love that. Mucho lovo. I don't know. Am I making an ass of myself here? I should probably just quit making art and music altogether. Just try to fit in, you know. Um, so people can understand me better. So people can say, like, you know, you better act the way we act if you want to be accepted. We won't be your friend unless you do exactly what we say. That kind of thing. Yeah. Okay, Hippocratic Oath says sell insurance. There you what's that famous play, the insurance salesman guy who's like grappling with the meaning of life. Something something salesman, I forget the name of it. Death of a Salesman. Death of a Salesman. I don't know who wrote that. You gotta wonder, like, in today's media landscape, will plays and things like that, are they gonna go the way of the dodo? Like, does anyone have the interest or patience to even watch a play about something like that? You know? Yeah, there you go. Arthur Miller, thank you. See, once again, 100 points for Hippocratic Oath. You are now in the leading slot. There you go. I'll be a game show host. Huh, bingo. that, that could be a really, really funny spoof, on that. I think, that's pretty funny. I don't think that works. I'm going to have to get rid of that. Yeah, that looks a little funky, I think. Take that right out. Uh, There you go. It's looking a bit better anyway. It's understanding the way shadows work as a whole art in itself. You know, Dramatic shadows are really, really, really important for comics and filmmaking. I think of comics as like the uncle of filmmaking in a way. Like it's related in some sense. All right, that's a bingo. Yeah, cool. Well, I hope I'm not boring you guys here. I appreciate your presence. Um, hmm, Probably gonna have to wrap it up though soon. I got a big day tomorrow. Mondays suck in my job. They're always like, not because it's Monday, but because of the things that I have to do on a Monday. It's very like, ugh, you know, it's just like a go 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 day. From the time you start to the time you leave, there's no letting down. So it's weird, like you're on your job and you're being a normie and you're hiding your feelings and you're presenting yourself the way people want to see you professionally. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, who knows what kind of problems you're having in your personal life, and you just have to hide it and bite it back, push it down. And every once in a while, a little bit of that will slip out. Like, I forget what it was. Something happened, and like, I remember someone was like, on my job was like, "Are you okay?" And just the whole like that type of talking to me like, "Are you okay?" How about instead of doing that, being like, "Are you okay?" Like, is there something wrong? Instead of kind of like the tone of it being more like, "What the fuck, man? Like, what's wrong with you?" That kind of judgy type mentality. I don't know. It's uncomfortable. But I guess it's part of life. It's a part of life. Blah 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 blah. Anyway, look forward to Humphrey. Why don't you send me some tracks? Uh, and we'll try to get the ball rolling again with that. You could become a mobster. That's next to selling insurance. Wow, you would be Don Kent. You give every person you murder a drawing as a goodbye gift. Oh man, that's like a comic book character. You're giving me some ideas for like a cool comic book character. That's actually a dude. Maybe we should collaborate on a comic. If I only had a clone that could do that much more work. I'm going to have a great Monday. It's going to be a snow day. Well, good for you. I could use a snow day, to be honest with you. I could use one. I got other things I'm doing that require. There's just so much that I'm doing. It takes time. Um, Trying to start a second business and trying to do that while you're working a full time job and doing this stuff is pretty hard to pull off. But the idea, of course, is to get yourself, financially independent so that you don't have to have a fucking day job. You can do your art. That's the goal. All right. Yes. Okay. I think in the old days, the origin of the Joker was that before he became like the Joker that we know, he was a gangster who, um, he's a gangster, and he would kill people, and then he would like leave a Joker card on their body. I think that's the origin of that concept, actually. How often do you work on your comic? Well, every night I try to do a stream like this. I have a little secret that I can't really say online about where and when I fit in the time to do my work. Um, so I guess that's the answer. But almost every day, I would say. There's days when it's like I need, I got to do some dumb shit. I got to do some adulting or whatever. There might be, people coming in to do this or that. Maybe I'm going to go record some music or who knows what, But I every night I try to get on here and do some of this stuff. Anyway, gents, I have got to hit the sack. Got to work. Got my big Monday tomorrow. So I wish you very well. I thank you so much for joining me. I thank you so much for the fantastic questions because that allows me to say something interesting and it's not just quiet, boring, whatever. And you guys rock. It's very good to have you. So I appreciate you very much. Yes, have a good evening, day, morning, whatever, and a happy Monday tomorrow. We'll see you guys.